Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm sorry for a long delay in coming back with the videos, and I'm sorry that your March videos will be delayed, but I had a few wildcard events happen to me as a result of the transit of Uranus, which is very close to my sun and moon, which happened and continues to happen right now. And that has brought about some sudden events, which to some extent I expected but was trying to ignore. And they showed up as they would, as they normally do. I apologize for the delay, and today we are going to talk about a very important topic. I want to talk about Mercury Retrograde, which is starting on 5th of March, and it will extend all the way to 28th of March. And then Mercury will finally be out of shadow somewhere in the middle of April. What I want to talk about today is Mercury Retrograde is not an event which is uncommon. It happens thrice a year. 80% of the time this planet is direct. So we have these moments in the course of the year where we get these checkpoints which happen when usually we are going through moments of transition. When we are going through certain changes, Mercury goes retrograde in those moments normally to give us a different perspective. So I want to talk about a little bit of different way of looking at it, this transit, and how we should not be fearing it, and how we can take best advantage of what's coming ahead for us. And then we'll go into each sign to see how this could pan out for each of the signs. To start with, Mercury is going retrograde on 5th of March, and it will stay retrograde till 28th of March. As I have spoken about it in the past couple of videos, when a planet goes retrograde, it appears to be moving backward from Earth. And because of that, because it's not moving in the direction that normally is perceived from Earth, its function is changed. Its regular function is changed. And Mercury, the function of that planet is to regulate our inner and outer dialogue. It is a planet of transfer. It is a planet of transmitter. It is a transmitter of information, both from our subconscious as well as from our conscious. So it digs down information both from our subconscious and brings it out in the open, as well as collects the information externally and brings it inward and converts it into logical thought processes. So it is a fairly important planet. It is one of the two personal planets that works very closely with Sun, our physical being, and it creates the thought processes by which we relate to the world around us. It is sort of how we absorb and disseminate information, thought processes, ideas, our talk, our perception. It is all regulated by Mercury. So it is a fairly important planet. It is a very fast moving planet. We normally, in normal course of action, we zip past life quite fast, and we are looking at our environment, absorbing information, disseminating quite fast. But what happens when a planet like this, which is a very fast moving planet, it stations and turns retrograde, which means that it appears to move backward from Earth? What happens at the moment of that reversal is that we have a shift in direction of our thought processes. It shows us a side of something in our life that we did not see earlier. It shows us a different perspective on things that we did not see before. It is a period of reconsideration. It is a period of changing our mind. It is a period of transition when we get to hear ourselves that we normally don't when we are zipping by life. There is a clear shift from left brain to right brain, from moving from analytical to subconscious when this happens. And hence, in that moment of transition, we are expected to change the way we interact with our surroundings and the way we absorb information from our surroundings. This is where non-linear thinking kicks in. We need to sort of disengage from the numbers, the facts, the overload of information at this point in time to relieve the pressure on our analytical brain for a moment for clarity to emerge. And that is a very, very very important and potent impact of Mercury retrograde that many of us miss out. Because the world that we live in, slowing down is not an option. Slowing down is not a choice. It's not looked at as a positive thing. And this is not even about slowing down, because Mercury is not going retrograde in a fire sign. Mercury is going retrograde in Pisces, which is a water sign. It is all about mutating. It's about changing our direction. It's not about outshining and then somebody is moving faster than the other and who goes first. It's not about speed anymore. It's about our ability to be flexible in a situation when things are moving so quickly that we cannot comprehend why something is happening. It's a moment in which we are allowed to go inward and figure out how do we want to proceed when externally things are moving so fast around us. This is sort of using your intuition, your inner voice, and Mercury rules both, our inner voice as well as our outer voice. So when Mercury goes retrograde, our inner voice is the one that gets louder and the outer voice is expected to become more muted. We are expected to reduce our outer talk and increase the hearing of our inner talk. That's the time when we need to absorb information. We need to listen to ourselves. We need to listen to the things that are happening in our life. We need to listen to our body. We need to listen to what is emerging in terms of clarity. If we take a step back, if we release this pressure on our analytical mind to know it all, what kind of clarity emerges? Because Eureka was not coined on a whiteboard, it was coined in a bath. And I know there are controversies around that, but getting the gist of it, we get the voila moment, the Eureka moment, when we allow ourselves to take a little bit of step back from the activity of it all and figure it out. This last happened in 2013 because Mercury goes retrograde for at least 18 months to 2 years in one element. And last time Mercury was retrograde in Pisces was from 23rd of February to 18th of March. So I generally do this for myself and I suggest this to my friends and my clients that it's best to just enter those dates in your Google Mail or any kind of mail that you use and look at what happened, what kind of activity was happening, how were you processing information at that time. So look at the time period around mid of February to end of March because you want to take the shadow period as well. So 23rd of Feb to 18th of March in particular, think about what shifted for you in terms of your perspective about your life. And I'll talk about each sign for you to sort of look at which area in your life you should be focused on right now. But last that happened in 2013, it was not exactly at this degrees. If you have the perspective, the time and the attention, 2006 was the time when the degrees were more exactly close to where Mercury will be going retrograde now. But I understand 2nd of March to 25th of March 2006 is going way back. But if you have a perspective on that time, look at 2006. Otherwise, look at 2013, what emerged. Because the retrograde periods in these personal planets have a way of connecting with each other. For example, some element, some person, some relationship from 2013 which was under consideration during mid of February till mid of March or end of March might re-emerge at this point in time, or a question that has been left deep embedded in your subconscious might come up on the top right now for your consideration. It's not a period to be afraid of. It is a period to discover yourself. It is a period to discover your ideas, your thought processes, your a part of your brain that is lost and not used on a day-to-day basis comes to action at this time. So it's a very fertile ground for creativity, for channeling a very different side of you. There's ebb and flow that happens when Mercury goes retrograde in a water sign, as most of the water sign planets behave. This is a time when we are asked to be flexible. Because the way to be successful in a Pisces season, which we are in middle of, is not about outshining anyone. It's not about putting ourselves first. It's not about outshining one versus another. Pisces season is about succeeding by molding ourselves, being flexible to the flow of situation, using our intuition as a strong guide to our path, being guided by invisibilities around in our environment that connect everyone, that is impacting you, that is impacting your environment. So it's about using your right brain, as it said, using your right brain, which does not come into action when our left is taken over on a day-to-day basis. It's about making things happen with a lot of inner wisdom, not about your ambition, because we are powered up in a Pisces sun in a very different way. The sun in Pisces energizes our intuition. It energizes a part of us that is not visible to the surface, which does not usually comes out. Apart from new perspectives, we get to sort of change or transform something in our life. We might have an old situation that came up, which now we get to handle in a different way. So look at that. Maybe there's an issue that might have risen up over the course of last couple of days, because Mercury entered shadow period around 18th or 19th of February. So some sort of issues might have come up. And what do the issues arouse in us in a Mercury retrograde in water sign period? They arouse the emotional response in us. Mercury retrograde in a water sign is the time period to change our emotional responses to things, to get a perspective and see how we emotionally react to issues that come in our life. And what changes as a result of Mercury retrograde is that because it's a growth cycle, every retrograde is a growth cycle. We go deeper, we become better at handling an issue when a retrograde happens. So what are we learning in Mercury retrograde in Pisces in a water sign period is how to handle the emotional reaction to an issue, to an ending, to an event that has happened in our life. And with what happened last month with Uranus being so strong and the two eclipses just happened in January, a lot has changed. What is our emotional response to that? What is our maturity of our response to that situation that is bringing about sudden changes? And it's very important that it's happening in the month of March, because in the month of March, a very important planet, Uranus, will be changing sign. And an outer planet like Uranus changing sign brings about big shifts. They bring about a shift in how we value ourselves. It brings about a shift in how we generate value out of our existing life. It's sort of what are the old values, the system, the ideologies that we have been holding on to, which are fixed in nature. And Uranus coming in a fixed sign is all about revolutionizing what is fixed in our life in terms of our value system. So when something like that is happening, and that's happening on 6th of March, and you'll feel that during the period of this Mercury going retrograde in the first week of the month, this Mercury retrograde gives you a perspective to handle that in the right way from an emotional standpoint. What is our response to when something so deep, something that we thought is so stable, something that we thought is fixed in our life, that is being asked to transform? When we are being asked to create freedom in a portion of our life which is fixed, what is our emotional response to that? And that is what is going to get honed. That is what is going to get sort of developed during the course of March. So it's a month of mutable water, of staying fluid, of going into the recess of our mind that we don't normally access, we didn't know it existed. It's about channeling a strength that we did not know we have inside us. It is a period of transition in your personal life, in your professional life, and the guidance of that will come from somewhere way beyond outside ourselves. It is not Saturn. So these are not lessons that we are learning which are karmic in nature. This is not a difficult lesson that we are learning. This is you meeting you meeting a different path, you meeting a different way of reacting. And we always have choices in reacting to a situation. This is you meeting you and reacting to a particular situation in your life in a different way as compared to what you've done before. And every time Mercury goes retrograde, our thought process and the way we react to an emotional event in our life, it grows and improves with each of those events. Now, there are different phases in which Mercury retrograde happens. So I'll talk about that in terms of dates in the course of the month. The first phase that happens, it started long before Mercury went retrograde. So Mercury is going retrograde on 5th of March, but from 28th or 30th of January, when we had the conjunction of Mercury and Sun, that is when the process starts, because Mercury starts racing ahead of Sun. From 30th of January, after the eclipses, we were set free, and February was the month to go full forward, do things, quick things, moving ahead of our physical capacity to some extent to open new things up. Because all planets were direct, Mercury was going ahead of Sun. Our thought processes, our voice, our talk was going ahead of our physical capacity and our ability to do things, and even our ambition. And that is very much required, because it's the productive time. It's the time to reap results. It's the time to open new avenues. So we did that during the course of end of January to Feb, all the way till now, till the Mercury going retrograde. But now when Mercury has to catch up with the Sun, this is where the pragmatic rational action begins. So we had Mercury becomes evening star. It happens before Mercury goes retrograde, unlike Venus, and I spoke about the Venus retrograde in a separate video, because Mercury acts differently. It becomes an evening star before it becomes retrograde. So it became an evening star around 18th of February, and I spoke about it in my February videos, that when Mercury is in the shadow period, which also started around 18th or 19th of Feb, it is the time to go more inward, not start new things, not get into new avenues, not start new fires. It's the time when we look at the Pandora box that our initiative has opened up and analyze what's good from the bad. It is the time of pragmatic rational action, and that is in action right now. As we speak right now, we are having an eastern elongation, which means that this is the point in time from which the Mercury as a planet will start becoming less visible. It will become invisible around the time that it's going retrograde, which is around 5th or 6th of March. But the light of a planet becoming dim means that our ability to initiate new commercial ventures, our ability to seed new ideas, our ability to sort of go ahead and start new information projects will reduce as a result of that. There might be a resistance even to go into unknown right now. There will be a little bit of feeling of uncertainty, and we'll feel that all the way till 14th of March, when Mercury is in the period of first phase of retrograde. Now, this first phase of retrograde, which is from 5th of March to 14th of March, is the time to allow information to come in, to absorb information, not to react, to review the frustrations that you might be feeling and things not going forward, or getting a perspective on that. It's the time to uncover your true motivations, to find the key in this phase to the issues, to the sticky issues that you might be facing in the particular area of your life that Mercury is highlighting right now. And as I said, we'll speak about that at the end of the video for each sign. Now, this period from 4th to 14th of March is, of course, the time when we don't want to initiate something new. It is the time when we want to be more held back in terms of our communication, being a little bit careful in terms of how we send the emails, not start any new enterprise, not start any major purchases, not get into an exciting situation in terms of even a relationship to some extent, because we might change our mind after Mercury goes direct. So it's the time to analyze what we have and handle what we have right now, and redo, rethink, reorganize, reassociate with what we have in our life. And this is happening at 29° Pisces. The stationing and the going retrograde is between 29°, almost 30° of Pisces. And these are the degrees of endings. 29° of Pisces is associated with permanent endings. So there might be something in your life that has to be closed on, that has to be given away. But how you give that away and how you bring that to closure is beautiful, because 29° of Pisces is a beautiful degree. It's a degree of when we see beauty in tough situation, when we see beauty in other people. In symbolic astrology, it is shown as a community garden in the middle of a slum. So it's seen as a person who sees beauty in a tough situation and brings that beauty out. It is where we reform something by doing a detailed analysis and work on it. We put a lot of love and work into something that does not look perfect right now, but it will by the end of this transit. It's about channeling the love of God to sort of bring harmony, bring beauty, bring positive emotions out in a situation that might look a little bit flawed right now. It's not about getting into the flaws of things, yet sort of working on those flaws and creating beauty out of that, reforming it, not getting lost and bogged down that the things don't look perfect right now. And it's an elaborate degree. It's a degree when an elaborate work is done, where we might need to go into the details of things. But again, as I said, the details of things right now to be gone into is using your left brain. Look at your current situation, which is under rework at this point in time, from a different perspective. Get an emotional perspective on it, get an intuitive perspective on it. Take a little bit of step back and figure out in the picture of things why something is not working out and what is calling to you. What is calling to your subconscious is very strong on your in terms of and your subconscious will be very strong. You will hear yourself if you give yourself the time. So it's also the time to sort of and a lot of people don't like that, but if you can, in this day and age, give yourself maybe even half an hour in the day to listen to yourself during this time period. In the first 2 weeks of March, you will get such insights you have not gotten before, because Pisces is about getting insights in life, digging into our subconscious. The things that are below the surface, they come out, and they unfortunately are coming out in not a very good way in the media, as you see right now. But at our personal situation, looking at what we are not accepting to ourselves about the reality of things. And some solution might come out that may not come out because of us pushing forward. And then it moves into 30 degree of Pisces, which is a majestic, which is where we find our archetype. So during this period with the solutioning, and Pisces is considered to be a sign which is very moldable, very mutated, but at 30 degree Pisces, we find fixity. We find a point in time where after mutating, we find a final form, and we will find that at the end of this transit. But more importantly, around 4th or 5th of March, you will realize that the archetype or the person that you thought, the mold that you thought you are sticking to, needs change. That might need to be looked at in a different way. It is a degree which is attached to a majestic rock formation, which is resembling a face of somebody, and a boy takes it up and creates that as the ideal of his life, and he grows up almost looking like that rock formation. It is about choosing your archetype and thinking, this is what I want to become. But during the course of the retrograde, that archetype completely changes. And that is exactly the gist of Pisces as a sign as well. It's about changing, mutating, flowing with the situation, and figuring out that this fixed things we thought we are attached to or who we are as a person, changing and molding that during the course of this Mercury retrograde. From 14th to 28th of March, when is the period when in the second phase in the retrograde cycle, this is the phase when we want to go with it. Because on 14th of March, Sun and Mercury will meet together. They will talk, they will communicate. We will see height of communication coming through. The opportunities to talk and interact with your external environment will increase on 14th of March. And you will see a rebirth of your mind, your thought process. It is not a period which is out of retrograde. So 14th of March, we are still under retrograde, but the urgency to move away from introspection, you will find that increasing. You will not be able to hold back what you're saying anymore, because that's a period when we'll want to interact with the environment around that, and we would want to move forward with experimentation, with the ideas, these epiphanies that you're getting in the first 2 weeks of the month. You want to go out and experiment that, and that is the time, a phase of experimentation experimenting with caution. That is the time which is the time to lay groundwork. I cannot ask you to hold back, because you won't be able to hold back after that. You would want to go, you would want to do things, and there'll be so many transit after 14th of March, because Mercury is making contacts with everybody. It's meeting Jupiter in a hard aspect on 15th of March. We are bound to overcommit to something or say things which are overboard more than what we would want to promise on 14th and 15th of March. And we need to be careful about that. I'm not suggesting we should do that. We should definitely be careful of. But saying that don't communicate, don't start anything new, don't do anything which is related to the new after 14th of March will be difficult in my view. But the planet is still retrograde. So suggestion is, do things, start laying the ground, but do not commit to something right now new. So start laying the ground. If there's a new job you've been looking for, start interviewing, start looking at what you can do, create something, lay down some sort of groundwork of the new that is coming about, gather new information, explore, create new territories at that time. But don't take a major decision. And if you have to, because life moves on, and Mercury, as I said, goes retrograde 3 times a year, so life doesn't stop for anything. So if you have to sign something, if you have to give a yes on something from 14th to 28th of March, I would request you to put provisions on that. Because this period between 14th of March to 28th of March is notorious. It is what the Mercury retrograde cautions are all about. Because this is a phase when we want to really move with things. 14th of March, when Sun and Mercury move together, and we sort of, even from a heliocentric, from the perspective of the Sun as well, Earth and Mercury are meeting. So there is a seeding of a new mind. There will be a brilliant idea, an important piece of information that gets revealed to us, an epiphany that comes around 14th of March. And you will have an urge to move forward with it. There'll be an impatience about it. There'll be a phase where you would want to go with it, run with it, do it right now. Because Mercury and Jupiter are meeting together on 15th of March as well. So there is an overconfidence. There's luck, there is epiphany, there is a knowledge coming through. But there is an over-the-top communication that might come through with it, which we want to be careful of. And that is what the cautionary tale about Mercury retrograde is all about. Not over-committing when we are not fully ready. Holding our emotional impulses back a little bit at this stage, and learning to do that as a part of this transit. So being a little bit, I don't want to be a downer. It's going to be a very positive state from 14th to 28th of March. That's the time when we start looking positively forward. But the caution is not to commit to something at this stage. And then on 28th of March, when we have the planet stationary to go direct, that's the time a few days after that to act on these things, to act on these ideas, test the untried, market the ideas. This is the period after the vernal equinox, which is happening on 20th of March. We'll have season change, right? Start of spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. So there's a change of season. As we all know, the Aries season, which starts after 20th or 21st of March, is about new beginnings. It's about the new start. So the seeding of that and the permanent ending of something old happens during this retrograde period, and then the new starts come with the Aries new moon, which will happen in the month of April. But April will have a lot of other things as well coming up. These are the period of big changes. I've been talking about it in the last couple of months, because we'll have Saturn, Pluto and South Node coming together during the course of April. So there'll be a big shift coming globally as well as at our personal level. These new starts come with some heavyweight work, with some letting go of an old and putting an effort into a beautiful, completely transformative tomorrow for us. But the part and the thought process of it, and getting deeper into our psyche to figure out how we'll handle this big change, how we would not sort of overreact, which is difficult in this situation, to the impetus that are going to be coming in front of us, because you'll be very sensitive during this time. I'll just warn, during the time that Mercury goes on 16th degree of Pisces, these are sensitive points. You can look back, 19th of February is when Mercury was on 16th degree Pisces, especially the water signs If you're a Cancer, you're a Pisces, you're a Scorpio, look back on 19th of February. Did we react to something between 19th to 22nd or 23rd of February in an impulsive fashion? You will reconsider how to react to those situations in a positive manner. And we all have been there. I'm a water sign myself, and I know that I did. So the next time Mercury goes on those degrees will be 28th of March, when we'll get sort of the do-over, the ability to sort of react to that situation in the next phase of our growth between 28th of March to 16th of April, and also start something new, which is a seed for next phase in that area of our life. So this is what in my view is happening, and this is an overarching theme of the month of March. Because even the new moon that is happening on 6th of March is in Pisces. It's happening actually at the degree where Mercury is going direct. So we'll be having a new start seeded as a part of this going retrograde, right at the point of this planet stationaring and going retrograde. Right at that point, a new seed is being planted. So there is, in my view, I feel this is a very clear signal of something permanently ending and something new collectively being seeded right at the same point, but giving it time to grow, because you will not see the shoots of this new start unlike any other new moon. The new moon in Pisces, which is happening on 5th or 6th of March, we will not see the growth of that right away, because we are required to check in with ourselves on something on that new start, and it's happening at a very sensitive degree. The 16th degree of Pisces, as I mentioned, is a very sensitive degree, and the new moon in Pisces, which is happening on 6th of March, is happening at 15 degree 47 minutes, which is 16 degree of Pisces. It's the place where collective juices flow most potently. If you want to look at moons of any of the famous poets, many of the famous poets, their sun or moon will be around 16 degree of Pisces. It's whether you want to consider, I'm an Indian, so looking at Indian Sufi musicians, Hasrat Inayat Khan, or you want to look at moon of Percy Shelley or Elizabeth Browning, they are the moon of these poets. They're all at 16 degree. That's why I said the month of March is very important to channel a very different side of you, the creative side of you, making space for this new ideas, which is resolving an old issue and nurturing this new solution that is coming by being softer to yourself, by losing yourself to some extent in the beauty of the new solution that is coming through, by you working through the old, by you giving up the old. So that will be the theme of the new moon as well. I don't want to mix the two themes, but I just wanted to talk about it here to let you know that they are not they're not disconnected, and you'll have a new start with the ending that comes with that. In my view, the Mercury retrograde that happens. So let's dig into each sign now, because you would be wanting to know which area of your life this affects you in. So we'll talk about where the Mercury is going retrograde and which other areas of your life it will affect apart from the area where Mercury is. The first thing, I'll start with the most beautiful sign this month. It's your season, and I cannot apologize enough to delay your video in your month. This is for Pisces. The beautiful sign of Pisces is going first in this one. So for Pisces, this is happening in your sign. The new moon that's happening on 5th or 6th of March, as well as Mercury retrograde for the whole period of March, is happening in your season, in your sign. It's about your self-image. Neptune has been working on you for some time now, and it's very strongly channeling a dissolution of an old image right now. And this Mercury retrograde is very much an important component of that, looking at your self-projection, at your image, at your personal impact, and how that is affecting your relationships, your feelings about yourself, and how you come across. How is that changing the way you are fulfilled in your partnership will be a key theme of this Mercury retrograde for you. In my view, there's very much a possibility that a relationship issue will come up because Mercury rules your relationship houses. So there might be an old acquaintances, maybe some relationship issue from 2013 might come back again, or there might be a relationship issue which might be recent that might come to light as well. And your emotional response to that. And this is not just about love relationships. This is us handling our clients. This is us handling any one-on-one relationship issues. How we resolving that, what is our emotional response to that, how do we seed it, how do we create a future, and from that comes new information to you. Because of handling that comes new information to you on which direction you want to go, because this is happening in your sign. It defines the very direction of life you want to take on, because the new moon that is happening on 5th or 6th of March is in your sign. So it's about your new start. It's about your consideration of your life, your personal impact, your goals, your career, your physical, the way you project yourself physically. It impacts your overall, the way you bring yourself to the world, essentially. That will, in my view, modify, change, shift, and you'll get more insight into if you allow yourself at this period in time. And it's a beautiful season, but it's marked with a lot of changes. March is a month of big changes which are getting kick-started, and I think we are fortunate that they're getting kick-started in the sign of Pisces, because you are a sign of changing and flowing with things. So stay in your very essence, stay flexible, stay in your element this month. You are about molding yourself, being flexible to the flow of situation, understanding the situation when nobody else knows what's going on, because you have a strong intuition into things. You have a strong internal guide to your path this month, and you're being guided by invisible forces, I feel, that are not visible in normal course of action during the course of this month. So taking advantage of that to move forward in your career, in your life, in your partnerships, especially in your one-on-one relationships, would be key. Theme of Mercury retrograde and the course and the whole month of March, in my view. While Mercury moves very fast, so it covers, I think it will affect all of Pisces, but especially if you have planets between 16 degree to 30 degree of Pisces. So if you have your Pisces ascendant, sun or moon in that order between 16 degree to 30 degree, you'll feel this transit, the Mercury retrograde, the reconsideration in your direction in your life, the way you present yourself to the world, the way you come across in terms of your relationship. You'll feel that very, very strongly if you have planets between 16 degree to 30 degree of Pisces, which means if you're a Pisces sun born between 5th to 20th of March, you'll feel this transit the most strong. In fact, if you're born around 5th of March, you will have a new start with the new moon that's happening on 5th or 6th of March as well, because that's happening on your sun, and you'll feel this new beginning, a new direction in your life, a new phase of your life beginning. But before you go full into this new phase, there might be a reconsideration on what you want out of it, to get an insight on where you're going in terms of how you should go about it, especially if you're born around 5th of March or if you have planets around 16 degree of Pisces. It's an excellent time to create something. It's an excellent time to create something creative. It's an excellent time to reform something that you can bring out to the world at a later stage. It's sort of a time in your season when you take a step back and decide how you want to come across to the world, and it affects your relationships and your partnerships deeply. Moving on to Aquarius. For Aquarius, this Mercury retrograde is happening in your house of money, in your house of resources, in your house of diet, in your house of your talent that brings about more resources to you. So all the things that support you, the resources, the finances, the expenses, the valuables, the food, the nutrition, the beauty, the finer things in life, they come under reconsideration at that stage. There might be an expense that you might have already made or you're about to make, and there might be be real thought processes around it. How do I feel about it? Am I making an impulsive purchase? This is a time to sort of take a step back and look at your reaction to the impetus that is being presented to you in financial area. There might be a reallocation of resources required because we might be overexpending ourselves in one area and not going and spending our resources in the area where we truly want to spend, that brings us joy, that make us happy, that make us more satisfied in life, because this Mercury retrograde affects your joy as well. So there might be some changes that are required in the way you spend, in the way you allocate your resources, the way you are eating, what you are taking in terms of your diet, as well as maybe some modification in your talents that bring you money, that bring you resources, that might be required. And that insight might come through, that there is a new start required, maybe something new that you need to get into to start a new financial project, maybe starting a new source of income, a new talent set that brings you income. You're looking at reconsidering what you have right now and embellishing that right now, and the end result is to sort of go in a more fulfilling direction. You want to maybe buy something that brings you more joy. You want to maybe invest in something that brings you more joy. You might be looking to get into a diet that gives more harmony to your life. You might be looking to acquire a new talent set that will add to you going forward. So the epiphanies in that direction is what I'll request you to focus on. It might bring some insights that you've not gotten before earlier. So focusing on that, a new direction in terms of your resources and talents. Then if you're a Capricorn, this Mercury transit will bring a lot of new insights to you, I feel, because it's happening in your busy house. It's happening in your third house of communication. So there will be certain epiphanies and reconsiderations that come to your direction in terms of how you communicate with the environment externally. How do you relate with your associates? How do you present yourself to the associates? What's your diplomacy? How do you brand yourself? How do you brand the things that you're marketing to the external environment? They might come under reconsideration, and there will be embellishments to that. But this Mercury retrograde adds to you because it's happening in a positive aspect with you. You have a tool available to you for this month to and all the way till middle of April. You have a tool available to you at your disposal to communicate more effectively with your environment, to add to your skill set by which you relate to people around you. How do you brand yourself? How do you talk? How do you present yourself? There might be an actual commercial transaction that you want to launch to the world. There might be a commercial project. It could be a publication, a writing project, a speaking project that you want to launch to your immediate environment, and that might require some amount of embellishment, some amount of changes. And this is not an embellishment in terms of getting into the details of it and figuring out how to fix the I's and the T's of it, but it's more about adding quality to it, adding your soul to it, adding more intuition into it, adding more depth into it, adding more insights into it. And as a process of doing that, as a process of reading more, figuring out, refining this more, you have the gift of self-knowledge as a result of that, I feel, because this is giving you insights into your own thought process. This period, especially if you give yourself the first 14 days of the month to look inside and ask yourself the questions, the right questions, you might get a lot of deep insights. And Capricorn, you're known to know your mind very well. You're not one of those signs who go through life not knowing what they're about. You normally know what you're all about, but this is a transit which will give you more insights into your own courage, into your own strength, because sometimes we doubt our ability to deliver things to the world. This is sort of a time when we get an insight into our own courage, when we see ourselves in the water and look at our own face and realize how strong we are. And so giving yourself that time in the first, especially 2 weeks of the month, to go inward and regain your strength to interact in a more in a different fashion, to come out in a form of more strength to your outer world, would be my recommendation. And Mercury rules your Mercury rules your day-to-day work, and it rules your philosophy in life. So I feel that the insights you'll get will embellish your day-to-day work. It will embellish your overall philosophy, positivity, and thought process about life if you give yourself the time and the attention. This is especially very potent for people born between 5th to 21st of January. But again, Mercury is a very fast moving planet. I think all of you will see the impact that I just spoke. But especially if you have planets, Sun, Moon, Ascendant in Capricorn between 16 to 30 degree of Capricorn, or if you're born between 5th to 21st of January, you'll feel the impact the most. Now going into the sign, the exciting sign of Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, this is happening in your 4th house, and this is going to be a very potent transit for you. It's making a harsh aspect, a square aspect with you, but squares are what get us anywhere. So I feel this transit will give you an insight on your home and family. There might be some reconsideration because Neptune has been here, and I've been talking about it in the last couple of videos with you, that with Neptune very strong in your house of home and family and emotional foundations, there are some old patterns of relationships, some old pattern of the way you relate to people, the old patterns of the way you feel safe and secure that are being let go and new ones created. And with this transit, I feel there is it's sort of a check-in into your heart, into your big heart to figure out what do you truly want. The Mercury retrograde in the 4th house gives us an insight into our foundation, what makes us feel secure, what makes us feel happy, what makes us feel that this is the right place for us to live, that these are the people I should be living with. It gives you an insight about what is the kind of place you want to live in, what is the way you want to decorate it, what makes you feel comfortable and at home. So the thought processes, especially in the first 2 weeks of the month, I feel there might be a proposition proposed to you which moves you out of your comfort zone. It might be a new start in home and family. There might be a new start in what makes you feel secure, which is taking you away from your place of security to some extent. And you are being asked, your fundamental values, your fundamental stability comes under question in a very, I feel Pisces is about molding, right? So you are changing the way you feel comfortable with things. You're dissolving an old pattern of safety and an old pattern of stability and going into a new one. So you're being proposed a new life, and you reconsider and consider what makes you feel happy in it, what makes you feel comfortable with it, and what is your emotional response to the impetus that is presented to you in your home and family. And that is especially true if you're born around 7th or 8th of December. I spoke about it in your monthly video last month as well. If you're born around 7th or 8th of December, Neptune is dissolving your old patterns of family, of your home and family. What makes you feel stable and secure is changing considerably if you're born around 7th to 8th of December, or if you have planets around 15 or 16 degree of Sagittarius, you are feeling Neptune very, very strongly, and you have been feeling Neptune very strongly. So now comes the point of reconsideration in it. Am I happy in what I'm creating? Am I happy in the work, in the home environment that I'm creating? Am I happy in the place I live? Am I happy with who I'm living with? Am I happy with my relationship with the people who live with me in the home, whether it is your parents or it is your family, it's your parenting style, all of that. The emotional foundations of your life come under reconsideration at this time, and a new start happens with this reconsideration as well. And it will impact you quite significantly because it's happening in your critical axis. It impacts your work, it impacts your committed partnerships, it impacts your career as well, your emotional, the way we feel secure in our skin. It affects our whole life. So this is a critical transit for you, and March in my view is a very critical month for you, especially if you have planets between 16 degree to 30 degree of Pisces, of Sagittarius, sorry. So if you're a Sagittarius sun born between 7th of December to 21st of December, you'll feel it the most. People born around the edges of it, which is 7th or 8th of December or 21st of December, they'll feel it the most, because those are where the Mercury stationing happens. So 16 degree of Sagittarius and 30 degree of Sagittarius will feel it the most. Then moving into my sign, which is my ascendant Scorpio, one of my favorite signs. Scorpio, I feel benefit from Mercury retrograde quite significantly, because it's happening in our 5th house of joy. So having Mercury spend 9 weeks in the house of joy is beautiful. It gives us the opportunity to reconsider and think deeply about what brings us true joy, what brings us true happiness, what is the idea that has been blocked for a long time that is not getting unblocked, that could open up a new vista for us. And this is happening in a creative house for us, which is beautiful. A creative transit in a creative house is the height of creativity. It gives you deeper insight into anything creative that you're working on. It gives you sort of the ability to work on that, the ability to develop it much deeper, add and embellish it much further. It gives you the ability also to reform your emotional response to the things that come up in our life. So there might be a point in our life where we are being asked and questioned about our risk-taking capability. How much risk can we take on ourselves and our talents and our creativity and ourselves and our joy? How much risk appetite do we have? And we sort of go into a reconsideration about it before we take the plunge, before we take the jump, before we go ahead with it. We're sort of being asked to check in with ourselves about our emotional ability, about our foundations, about our capability to take a risk in our life. It could be in your professional life or in your personal life. So it could be a job change, it could be a career change, it could be a new business that you're starting, which you're being asked to reconsider before you go ahead with it. It could be a new creative project that you're creating, and you're being asked to sort of check in with yourself before you go ahead with it. You're being asked to get deeper insight into the value that it brings you, the joy that it brings you before you go for it. Or it could be a new romance that you're going in for, so a risk in your personal life that you're taking, and before you go ahead with that romance, with that love life, you're being asked to sort of check in with yourself. Will this bring me the true joy that I want or not? And it will affect how you merge with that person going forward. And it could be about your children as well, because children are the biggest source of joy in our life. If we have children, or we want to have children, the reconsideration on whether we want to have children or not, or something in our children's life comes under reconsideration before a new start in the way we are as a parent starts, or a new phase in our parenting ability starts, sort of rechecking with ourselves on how we are going about it. And this is a beautiful transit in my view. It's a positive aspect to us. We are added to by this transit in a significant way, especially if we have planets around 16 degree or 30 degree of Scorpio, which is if you're born around 7th of November or 22nd of November, you'll feel this positive effect the most. And it will require you, it will take time to recognize the positivity of it. When Mercury is going retrograde, that's not the time when we feel positive. We feel positive when it's gone direct. That what we reconsidered and what we were asked to question and rework on was actually for our good, for our permanent good, for our future. So feeling if the positivity comes through for a longer period of time once it goes direct on 28th of March. But have patience during the month of March, that you might be asked to rework something that is creative, that is close to you, that brings you joy, that brings you happiness. It could be your business, it could be a romantic proposal, it could be about something in the life of your children. You might be asked to reconsider, reformat, recreate, and work deeper into, go deeper into, and get a deeper insight into, to have a new start in that area of your life. And if you're a Libra, this is happening in your house of home and work. So there might be some reconsideration, something comes back to rework on in terms of your work. There might be a work project that requires more corrections, more modifications, more additions, more embellishment, but more embellishment in the way maybe it's marketed, more embellishment in the way it's sort of presented to the people, versus the actual content of the thing, versus the actual gist of the project, but more about how do we present it in the right way, how the messaging of that project is to the people who are buying it or something like that. So there might be certain delays maybe in project as a result of that, and you might feel a little bit uncertain because of that. But this is the time when you might get some very deep insights into a project you've been working on, that you've been trying to get through or get approved. You might get more intuition, more insights into that. This is also about your health. As I've been talking about in the last couple of videos, Neptune has been in your house of health, that dissolves or creates certain issues that we do not know existed in our health, unfortunately. And I've seen that in my own house because I have 2 Libra in the house. There are certain health issues that are created as a result of weak immunity at this stage because of Neptune transits, but they are being created for us to recognize certain underlying issues that we might be missing, which might be there in our diet or in what we are ingesting or the way we are eating something. And those insights about our diet might come through. Something gets uncovered that we did not see earlier in our health and our diet, which helps us in longer run, which sort of starts a new diet for us. It starts a new food habit, a new health habit for us. Similarly, at work, in your work environment, taking a look at what's bringing you positivity. There might be something maybe in your desk, on the place where you sit and work. There might be something in your work environment that is maybe blocking the flow of thought processes. Looking at that, maybe cleaning up your desk at this point in time, reconsidering the position of your desk or the place where you work. The reconsideration about the work environment and the health environment might come at this point in time, and you might get some insights about some things. This is like you correct a small thing in your day-to-day life, and it's like a yoga pose where if you correct it a little bit, the flow of air becomes much easier and it flows much easily. So you might be trying to get somewhere, and Libra, I've been talking about it in your monthly videos. This is the time with North Node in your career house. It's the time to grow in your career, to gain a leadership position. So there might be some softer element at work in the way you handle your co-workers, in the way you handle maybe your team or what you get out of them, in your communication or your emotional response, or the way you connect with people at work, that might need slight modification. And this Mercury retrograde might bring that out to you, that might make it clear to you on how to go about it. So think about it in that direction, and maybe something new might click in the first 2 weeks of the month, that an insight might come which starts something new at work, which starts something new in your health environment. Then if you're a Virgo, this is a very significant transit for you because Mercury rules you, and this Mercury retrograde is happening in your house of partnerships. There might be a partnership that comes under reconsideration, and I've been talking about it in your monthly videos previously as well, that a new partnership might have come about or it's about to be closed on, and there might be some reconsiderations in that partnership that are required. Or if you are in an existing partnership, and this could be a business partnership or a personal partnership, but it has to be a committed one-on-one relationship, something that has been signed on, that you both are tied to each other, whether it is through business or through marriage or some sort of unsaid contract that the two people are connected to each other. There might be reconsiderations on that contract, on that agreement, on that terms of that relationship that might require some changes, maybe the boundaries in it, and there might be some amount of healing to some extent, a mending of ties required maybe in some of these, and it impacts you deeply. This partnership impacts you deeply. It impacts your career, it impacts your physical health, it impacts your whole persona. So this is an important transit for you, where you gain certain insights into your committed partnerships on what is working, what is not working, how to heal it, how to make it more successful, how to move forward with it, how to make it work for you much better for your career as well as for your future. You get an insight into that, and then that makes it a very, very important transit for you, especially if you have planets around 16 degree of Virgo or 30 degree of Virgo if you have your ascendant, sun or moon, which means if you're a Virgo sun born around 8th of October or 23rd of the month here. So the extremes essentially, if you are around that, then you'll feel it very, very strongly. 16 degree to 30 degrees, 8th to 23rd of October, I believe. So being very careful about your health at this stage, because Neptune is going to be opposing you, especially if you are around 8th of October born or around 16 degree. Being a little bit careful with your physical health, and I've said that in the previous monthly videos as well, Virgo. When Neptune is opposing us, there is a dissolution of our boundaries, our physical boundaries that happens. So being a little bit careful during this transit, you might get more insight into what's bothering you physically as well. So if there is a health element that might be coming to light, being a little bit careful in terms of your immunity at this stage when Neptune is impacting you directly, especially if you have planets around 16 degree of Pisces, 16 degree of Virgo, or you're born around 8th of the month, 8th of October. So that would be significant for you, Virgo. Then we come to Leo. Leo, this is about your joint finances, and we have spoken about it previously as well. There is some amount of dissolution in your joint finances, some amount of letting go of the boundaries so you can merge with another. But here you're being asked to reconsider the terms of this merger, the terms of your joint finances. Something in your joint finances might require more insights, or the way you're merging with a partner, whether it is your business partner or a personal partner, that might require reconsideration. And I feel this is very, very financial in nature, because it flows into your second house of resources as well. There might be some joint finances, a joint contract with a partner, or with a business partner, or with a financial institution, a loan or a financial contract with another where you're being benefited. This is not about your day-to-day salary. This is beyond day-to-day salary. This is either a business which is joint with somebody. It could be an insurance contract. It could be a loan taken from a financial institution. It could be your commissions that you're earning from others. There might be some reconsideration in that required for you to merge more fully with that person, and whether that contract is fair to you, whether it is fulfilling you fully. And this could be a contract of sexual nature or intimacy nature as well. It could be a deep contract with a partner, a personal partner, where you're not being fulfilled in the way you want to be fulfilled in your intimacy area, in the depth of the relationship, and you get an insight into how to make it work better, or how to heal it further, or how to heal you in that partnership. Because sometimes when we are not fulfilled at a deep level, normally there's something that we are looking from that partnership to heal, which is a wound within ourselves. So something raw might come to light as a result of this transit, I feel, which is required to be healed, which is required to be brought to focus, which is required for you to move forward in your life to some extent. There might be an old wound that might come to light, something that you need to detox from, something that you need to move away from, something which is an old loss that we are still holding on to, and we need to cut our losses and move forward with. Something has to end which is an old loss, which is not a current loss, but sometimes we keep on carrying it with us because it just becomes a part of us. So something has to be let go from that. But on a financial basis, I would ask you to reconsider how the joint finances are making you feel. How are you being fulfilled in a joint partnership with somebody? This is the proceeds of a partnership. The proceeds could be in form of intimacy. It could be in form of finances, essentially. And then you can have a new start in that, a new flow of finances, a new flow of intimacy, a new phase starts after you have checked in with yourself on what you truly want in it. Or there might be something that you need to actually talk with your partner about to get it straight. Then if you're a Cancer, this is a very positive transit for you. It's happening in your house of adventure. So Mercury retrograde is giving you more insights into what you need to do to add to your career. It could be new education that you need to go for. It could be a travel you need to go for. It is giving you a big picture. This is a big picture transit for you. This is about reconsidering your direction in life and whether you're generally going in the direction where you want to go. Are you getting enough adventure? Are you getting enough excitement in life? Are you getting enough education from what you're doing? Are you getting the right kind of positivity from what you're doing? So it gives you a moment to reconsider. Do I need to go for a course? Do I need to attain more education? Do I need to interact with certain people who are different from me to add to me, to be able to get more insight into what I do? This is about adding to your talents, adding to your higher mind. You're taking a step back to maybe take a course, maybe go and find a right tutor, or find a right teacher, find a right mentor for you who can help you go next step in your career. It's about moving to the next step. This is a growth house, so you're taking the time out for your growth to some extent, to learn something, to sort of study something, and then you can publish it to the world. Then you can bring it out to the world. You can go ahead, you might be even reworking on some sort of a course or an examination to be cleared on, to move to the next step in your career. This is a stepping stone. This is a house of adventure, a house of moving to the next step in your career and taking that next step to some extent by adding to ourselves, so we can become more in our career, so we can become more in terms of our achievement. And it is a time when you might reconsider, do I need to travel for it? Do I need to stay away from my country for it? Do I need to go out of where I am right now to get to the next step in my career? There's reconsideration of interaction with foreign entities at this point in time. And it's funny that I say that, because Cancer is the sign of America, being born in the season of Cancer, and the partnership with the foreign entities come into consideration at this point in time, as you're seeing, because this is the house of trade. This is the house of our interaction, our give and take with people who are different from us, who are from different background, and they add to us by us getting into a collaborative tie-up with them. So the new moon that is happening on 5th or 6th of March is in this is in this house of adventure, in this house of new start with somebody who's different from you, who has got a different background from you, who's a foreign entity, who's a foreign person, who's a person who's different from you, and you're starting a new phase with them. You're starting a new sort of a new adventure with them. But before you go there, before you get there, there is a phase of reconsideration, of getting down to the details and figuring out if our responsibility, our responses to them, the way we are interacting with them, the way we are feeling about this is right or not. So there might be a pullback required before you can go full on with this foreign person, with this foreign entity, with this higher education, with this travel. And I would suggest, if you're traveling, to recheck everything, or if possible delay it. But life doesn't stop for anybody. But if you have to travel this month, being a little bit careful in terms of your travel schedule. Things may not go as you planned, especially when it is happening in the house of travel. Being a little bit careful about that. Now, this is especially true if you have planets between 16 degree to 30 degree of Cancer. So if you're born between 8th of July to 23rd of July, you'll feel it very, very strongly, especially around 8th of July and 23rd of July. If you're born around 8th of July, you know that this is something new that is coming your way. This is some new start that is coming your way. This is something that you did not see earlier in your life coming about, which is coming in your life. And for that, before you get into this new adventure of your life, you need to reconsider how to go about it. You need to consider whether you'll be strong enough to go for it, whether you'll be, what resources you need for it. Just going inward a little bit to get your strength together to go forward with it is something that you do at this point in time. And it helps you, it adds you in terms of your next step in your growth and your next step in your career. And you might be even looking to publish something out to the world. You might be looking to get an education or a sort of a writing project published out to the world, but it requires rework to some extent if you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant at this stage. Now, if you're a Gemini, apart from Virgo and Pisces, I think you're one of the most affected sign by this transit. You're ruled by Mercury, and this is happening in your house of career. So there might be some amount of refinement of your paths, a refocusing of your path that is required at this stage. And March gives you deep insights into what you truly want out of your career. What do you want out of your public image? How do you want to project yourself at work? How do you want to connect with authority figures? How do you want to sort of respond to a career opportunity that has come in front of you? How do you want to restructure your path? And Neptune is in your house of career. So sort of your career path has got shifted in the last couple of years. The old image of who you wanted to be seen as in your career has changed considerably. Now is the time when you get the opportunity to get deep insight into what you truly want out of your career, who you want to be known as, who do you want to be, what you want to be for yourself actually, because Pisces is not about others. It's so much about our own deep thought processes, our subconscious belief about what we want to be. So the Mercury retrograde in Pisces is giving you deep insights into what will truly fulfill you, what will truly make you happy, what will give you the right kind of emotional balance, the right kind of satisfaction you need out of your work. So you get the deep insight in that, and that affects your home and family, that affects your place of living, that affects your direction in life, because Mercury rules your home and family and your overall persona and direction in life. And that is, it is a very, very important transit, especially if you have planets around 16 degree or 30 degree of Gemini, which means if you're born around 7th of June or 22nd of June, you'll feel it very, very strongly. The ascendant will feel it the most strongly. So if you have planets around ascendant between 16 degree to 30 degree of Gemini, especially 16 degree or 30 degree, you'll feel it very, very strongly. But it's a square aspect. It's not going to come very easily. You'll have to apply yourself a little bit. It might even feel that things are happening which are not in line with how you want them. But sometimes things have to go in the direction where you didn't think they will go, and then you get an insight which is different from what you had before. So a little bit of maybe even verbal conflict or verbal disagreement with somebody, or a verbal dissonance within ourselves to some extent might bring up certain ideas which are completely different about your future. It will give you an insight into your future that you did not have before, and that will bring you to the next level in your career. Then if you're a Taurus, the month of March is, to say the very least, a month of big changes for you. Uranus is entering your sign in the month of March after 84 years. So it will be a significant month, a significant change. When a planet like Uranus enters your sign, you feel it as soon as it happens. And everybody feels it irrespective of the degree of that sign. So, but Mercury retrograde specifically is happening in your area of goals, hopes and dreams and vision. So your vision in your life and the direction in which you're going, it goes through some amount of change in the course of March, some amount of modification, and that might be plugged very well with Uranus coming there. It's shaking some part of you. It's like when we are sitting with something which we thought is always me. The definition of who I am, that changes when Uranus enters our sign. Who I am gets a little bit shaken up from who we were previously. So the transit of Uranus, and I know this is not the video about Uranus, but it's pertinent to your sign with respect to why the Mercury is going retrograde in this area for you. The transit of Uranus shifts us from who we are after a Uranus transit as compared to before. We are changed completely. We're shifted out of a situation which is old and stale into something that is green. It's going from brown field to green field, if that's a term you're familiar with, but you go into uncharted territory with Uranus, and that is a point in time when we are never ready for it. It always happens when we are not ready for it. It happens at a time when we don't feel prepared for it, but we feel propelled to go in that direction. We feel propelled to go away from an old situation into a new one, even though we may not be prepared for it. And when Mercury goes retrograde at this point in time in your vision area, it is giving you an insight into who you want to become in a longer run. It's not about this year, it's not about next year. It's about what do you want your legacy in life to be. What do you want your what do you want to be known as when we are not there? And as you reconsider that, as you reconsider which direction you're going in and who is going with you on this journey, who are the people who will be with you in this journey, who are the friends, who are the business network, who are the people who you work with, who will be with you on that journey, as you reconsider that, the Uranus transit will loosen something up in your old belief. It will loosen something else up in your old life to give you a brilliant insight, to give you a new insight. And we need to stay flexible. And I know it's a very difficult thing to do for a fixed sign who likes to have value in the existing situation. I'm a fixed sign myself. I understand that, but my request to you and my guidance through this video will be to stay flexible this month, Taurus, because with Uranus moving into your sign, there will be some wild card events. There will be some sudden insights which you did not see coming through to you, some new messages about your goals, about your future, about the direction in your life coming through to you. And it's in positive aspect with you, but still, it will show you a path which is different from what you've seen before. It will judge, it will sort of it will test your risk-taking capability in your life as well. And that will be the theme of Uranus in your sign when we are being asked to move out of our comfort zone into a different phase in life, on sort of move out of a situation which we know is stale, but because we are a sign who likes to create value, who likes stability, who likes consistency, moving away from a consistent way of being into something different. And before you do that, you sort of you're checking in with yourself about your goals, about your career, about the direction, about the vision you have about your life before you get into a new phase in your life. Again, if you have planets between 16 degree to 30 degree, you'll feel it the most. You have the access to this reconsideration because it's not a hard aspect. This is a soft aspect. So you have sort of a tool available to you if you avail for it. If you avail for a tool, it will give you a new vision in your life, especially if you have planets around 16 degree or 30 degree of Taurus, or if you're born around 7th of May or 22nd of May. This is a very strong transit for you in terms of your goal completely changing, in terms of you having a new thought about which direction in life you want to go in for. But again, do not decide that direction right now. It's the time to reconsider. It's not the time to decide. So that would be my guidance, or what I think about this transit for you. Then coming to my sun sign and my moon sign, Aries, and I'm so sorry to keep you for the last this time, but it is Pisces season. We have to reverse things a little bit. Aries, this is happening in your 12th house. This is a waiting period, and how much do we hate to wait? But yes, this is a waiting period. When Mercury goes retrograde in our 12th house, it's the time where we are waiting for the blossom to come through, when we are waiting for something that we have seeded, but we cannot see the output of that, and we are being asked to sort of go inward at this stage, collect our strength, take care of our health, take care of our well-being at this stage to get ready for our season, which is starting on 20th of March. But before we go full on into our season, we have to reconsider what has to end from the past, what has to go away from the past, what has to sort of be let go, and to some extent our impulses to some events which are beyond our control, because there are things that have come about as a result of Uranus and Aries coming to an end. There are certain unexpected events, unexpected things that were out of our control that have come in front of us. Our emotional response to those events is judged during this time, and we are asked to reconsider how we react to things when they go in the way that we did not expect they would. And at the very least, I would request you to take some time to travel, take some time away from the day-to-day, take some time away from the busyness before your season starts, because our season is not going to be the lightest of the season this year. We'll have the Saturn South Node conjunction. We'll have the Pluto South Node conjunction during our season. Aries season this year is a heavy season. So getting prepared for that physically, mentally, getting ready for that season. When we know something big is coming during our season, getting ready for that and having this time to ourselves, to our soul, to be ready, to get emotionally ready for what's about to come is the theme, I feel. It's a very important time for health. Mercury impacts our health, which means that how we think, how we speak to ourselves. It impacts our physical body, Aries. So it's the time to improve our self-talk to some extent, to improve our health, and an active practice that is created, whether it is in form of us taking a yoga practice, us taking 15 minutes a day for ourselves to have a positive affirmation to ourselves, to get ready for our season, to get ready for the next year, which is, we know that this year is significant for us. We know Saturn, Pluto, South Node is about to completely evolve our career. So getting ready for that season, getting ready for our new start, getting ready for taking on something that might be bigger for our physical capacity right now. So taking care of your health is very, very important in March, I feel. Developing certain health processes, health practices, self-care practices. It could be half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes a day for yourself that takes care of you and your soul is a key theme of this transit for you, and I'll request you to do that. And there might be, it could be in form of you maybe even traveling to some extent, maybe taking a long distance travel around 5th or 6th of March. So being careful if you're traveling at this time, that the things may not go in the direction, or just staying flexible during travel, that everything may not be on time, everything may not be as planned, etc. Would be important at this point in time. So that's for you, Aries, and thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. And I again apologize, March has been delayed, but it was inevitable in the way things were going in my life. So I thank you all for sticking with me and for listening to me today. Thank you.